David Storter here from Partners. I'd like to call on him and a few other people that recognize the officer remarks, and then we'll open up the audience. I just asked that you wait until that time, and we can make sure that we're able to hear from everybody that we can. So David Storter from Partners would like to begin just about 5 minutes, please.
Thanks to the council, thanks to all of you for appearing tonight. We pleased to have the opportunity to talk to you about our plans, hopefully to at least clarify some of the misinformation that we've been hearing about to some extent in the community. We know you have a lot of questions, we know you have a lot of issues, we know you have a lot of concerns. And we wish that the communication about all of this could have been a little bit more orderly than it's turned out to be. The fact of the matter is, some of the stuff started to get out into the newspapers before we had anticipated. We wanted to be able to talk to our staff in the facilities. We wanted to be able to talk to the family members of the longer-term residents of the facility and to talk to the community at large, kind of contemporaneously but logically in that order. So let me kind of tell you the story in a brief kind of way, and mostly I want to be here to try to address whatever questions I can and to hear out the issues that are on your mind. So let's talk about the facility itself. It's in very poor physical condition. Why? Some of it you can see for people that are familiar with it, and I know there are people here who are been in the facility as recently as this afternoon, and so you can see the condition of it from the standpoint of what's visible. And there's a lot of limitations in that. The bathrooms in the patient rooms are not wheelchair accessible. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Why would it be a nursing home if it wouldn't? Because it was built a long time ago with all the standards. They built it.
There's going to be, we're all very passionate. I mean, believe me, my mother, grandmother, excuse me, had Alzheimer's and went through this entire thing. Like, I get it. We're all very
Could an air wheelchair fit into a bathroom? Yes. Could you actually manipulate it effectively? Could you manage larger wheelchairs with larger people? That's, you know.
Again, let's just please let them do the
I'm happy to go into questions if you want.
History and what's currently happening.
So, our view is that there's a lot of room for improvement just around basic accessibility, particularly for people who have physical limitations on use wheelchair. But frankly, if that were the only issue, then we probably wouldn't be having the discussion. A lot of what is most challenging is kind of behind the walls. I mean, we have a lot of mechanical system issues that when we look at the possibility of, well, you might say, why can't we renovate it? Why can't we fix the facility? Well, you know, we'd have to empty the facility to be able to do that. You know, the kind of work that would need to be done on the plumbing, the wiring, not just replacing elevators, not just replacing boilers and all the rest of the kind of stuff that would have to be done. So it's just not a viable alternative. And we've known this for a little time. And we've also got another facility in another part of town where we have similar kinds of physical constraints. So we've been trying to think about options that could work for both facilities if at all possible. So thinking about the north end, you know, this is a facility obviously deeply rooted in this community. I've been around for 19 years with Partners in Spalding, and I was involved in the discussions early on with Elaine Wilson, with Audrey DiBenedetto at the time, who was running the nursing home, and many of the people who were then involved in the whole North End Health Committee. So I understand the deep roots that the facility has in the community. The reality of the current, when we took responsibility for that facility, I think out of the 140 beds, there were 139 people living there. And most of them came out of the North End, and most of them had lived there many, many years. This wasn't a kind of facility that people went to for short stays. They went there because it was going to be their home. They were aging in place, as some people would say. Today, this year, starting with October when we started fiscal years, I just was looking at the numbers before we got here tonight. 6% of the people coming into the facility came out of the North End community. 6%, 19 people since October of 2015 were admitted from within the North End community. Most of those people were short stays. They've been there, they're home already. They're gone. We know that still from historical perspective, from back in those days that were so deeply rooted in the community, we still have about 30 people who are living there who originated out of the North End community, and about half who have been there for a long time, longer than at least a year. Now some people it's a year, some people it's 10 years, and some people, a little longer. So of that group of 30 or so people, we know about half of them still have family members who live in this community. And that's our biggest concern and issue right now too, is how to best try to help those residents and those families. So we have this opportunity to buy this place in Brighton. It's in much better physical condition. Our experts tell us we could move in as is, but we don't want to do that. The building is empty, so it gives us the opportunity to do a lot of things in an empty building that you couldn't do once you start having people live there and cared for there. So we would be making improvements to that facility. And we think that between all of the public process that has to go on with the Department of Public Health, with the community here, West Roxbury, that the soonest we would be in a position to actually make any move would be about a year from now. The soonest would be about a year from now. So it gives us time to plan. This isn't going to be, unless you don't want me back, I doubt it's going to be the last time we have a conversation here. I think this is the beginning of a discussion that's going to be going on about all of this. But we've got some time to try to plan this in a way that can work most effectively. Particularly, again, our biggest concern is relative to the people who are there now, who have been there for a long time, and whose families live nearby, some of whom we know don't have the opportunity to drive to another location. So we just met with our first family member this evening. We're working to get them all scheduled as soon as possible. We want to discuss this, individually with each of the families to understand their individual circumstances, who visits, who can drive, where do the others live, who visits from other areas. And then after we've met with all of the family members and heard them out, we will figure out what we can do to try to help with the idea of a move 5-6 miles away to the new facility in Brighton, if people want to come with us. People have choices. There may be some people who decide, I don't want to go to Brighton, I don't care. People choose not to, and people want to go to some other facility in whatever location. Where there are facilities that are a little closer than 5 or 6 miles.
Really?
And we have many people out of this region who go to some of them in the Chelsea, Everett, Revere area. So there's other options. We'll talk through with people. And we certainly want to try, to the extent the community exists between the residents who have been there longer and the families who are a community within the facility, to the extent we can have people continue to be in the same place, and they want to do that, we will try to work all that out. Again, we've got time to think it through and to try to plan.
We have about 30 seconds to want to wrap up.
Okay, I guess the other issue, and just, there's been questions and rumors about what else is happening and on the land, nothing, we don't know nothing about, we haven't even thought about that. So,
I think that Chairman Louise here, working a lot from help here. Oh, there you go. I'm sorry. I don't know if you wanted to. I will. Okay, then.
Back in.
Representative Michaelowicz, if you wanted to begin.
Thank you, John. First off, before I get started, I want to thank the council for hosting this tonight and congratulate new council members on their election most recently, and congratulate John as well as the new president. David, and I appreciate you coming down here tonight and facing, the neighborhood and talking with us and giving us an overview of what's going on. I also admire your courage because you have an angry neighborhood right now. You have, I have angry constituents. We have an angry neighborhood right now, and I don't blame them in the least bit because we are talking about our most vulnerable population in this community, our elderly, and many of those are ones that are facing dire straits or dire issues, whether it's like Alzheimer's, dementia, or other issues that they face. And to me, to uproot them out of their neighborhood that they've lived in their entire lives, out of this neighborhood, and to have to uproot them, whether it's Brighton or wherever they go, is unfathomable and really unacceptable. One of the most frustrating pieces about this that I've, faced or am dealing with right now is the fact that we never had any conversations about this building prior. Anybody that's walked in that building knows that there are issues with this building. They know. I mean, you don't even have to walk in the building to know that. You can see it from the outside. But the fact remains is that there was never any conversations about what to do with this building. Never came back to the community and actually had a conversation about what can we do, how can we participate in that issue. One entity I like to point to most recently was the North Bennett Street School. They little different issue. Obviously, you're not dealing with patient care, but you're dealing with a neighborhood, and a community place that needed assistance. Was outgrowing its facility. The facility was very old and beat up, and it needed to move. And they came to the community asking for help, and we figured out a way to keep them in this community and keep them moving. And to me, to never had that conversation with the community, to me is also unacceptable and something that is frustrating me, and I think it's frustrating a lot of people in this room right now. I want to hear from the families. I know we've talked about the families. The families are the most important thing here. I want to hear from them personally. I mean, I've heard from a lot of them, or I've reached out to a lot of them, but I want to hear from them tonight as well. But lastly, I want to make the point of that this building is a community building. It was built by the community, and it's going to remain
Meant to stay here.
I don't know what we have to do to make that happen, but you look at this room. We're not going away quietly, and this is. And as you said, this is the beginning of a conversation, and I appreciate that. I think that we are ready to have a conversation as well, and to continue that conversation. So, thank you for having me to speak here, and thank you all for coming tonight.
Elected officials, I think Senator Joe Longo, do you have anything?
Hi, thank you, everybody. I just really would like to echo what Aaron's already said so eloquently. And when we're dealing with a constituency like this, that's so vulnerable, moving them at this age can be tantamount to a death sentence because they just can't adjust the way others can. And we need to recognize that. I too appreciate Congress Spalding coming to this group, and hopefully this is the first in a long line of negotiations to keep this building and a facility that deals with these vulnerable constituents is something we can keep towards keeping these people in their homes, keeping people in their neighborhoods. We're hearing about it all too often in this neighborhood of people just not being able to stay in different, a movement in the neighborhood. But at some point, we've got to put our foot down. And as you can see tonight, and as you will hear tonight, these people are going to put their foot down. So it's easy if we put our foot down together and work together to come to a consensus and work again come with one another. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to keeping the conversation open not only with you, but with the representative of the constituents in this neighborhood.
Ask if there's any other local offices of elected officials that you...
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
From the elected officials officer? Sir, I want to recognize other elected officials.
You speak, Joe.
Oh, all right. I'm not elected.
Thank you.
Not yet, Joe. Not yet.
Just one last thing, I want to add that, you know, my office, the senator's office, we've been working extensively with the council's office and with the mayor's office, and we're going to continue to do that. Sal could not be here tonight, the mayor could not be here tonight, but I know that they are actively involved in these discussions and these conversations. I forgot to add that, thank you.
Well then, I guess at this time, unless there's anyone else, I think we can open it up for questions. But would you just please stand and try to speak as loud as you can, because it is pretty loud.
Go ahead, Joe.
Anyone?
Hi, my name is Joe Tesla, born and brought up in Vermont. Talk about Wingate. My kid was there for 2 years. It's a dump. Do you know that the first floor floods, heavy rainstorm, that they have pumps in there? There were times that I couldn't get in there to see my kid because there was too much water on the first floor. You're telling me that that building is worse off than the one in Wingate? Don't tell me that. I was there for 2 years. I've been over that whole building.
Well,
So-
we've done pretty extensive review. If we find more evidence of...
You people were supposed to move in the New Balance building, and you got shut down because you couldn't come up with the funds. So you went across the street to buy that building, so you can go in there. I know the story. I was there for 2 years. I heard what was going on in the building. Because of all the construction that's going on over there, it's going to be beautiful for you people. You mean that you're not? It will cost you less than half to fix up that building down here, the nursing home, than it would in Brighton. Don't tell me about Brighton. I was like this here with the maintenance guy, the head maintenance guy there. He says the building is in disarray. Yeah. That's why they sold the building. They threw us out of there at the beginning of the year. So don't tell me about Wingate and Brighton. Don't let them get away with it. Fight this thing all the way.
Hi, my name is Dan Passacantelli. I lived in North End on Hammond Street, same block for 61 years. And I live in the West End. I'm here because of my mother-in-law. It's 8 years this week that she... What is very disturbing, several things, and I'm not going to raise my voice, but I'm going to slice it here. The way this thing was processed out, you said this information was out there. It was done by your organization, not preparing and gearing up the patients to what's going on. So when this information came, basically, the genesis of it was from hunters, not from people on the street. Second, I think what's more disturbing than anything is that after listening to you talk, it's basically a done deal. That we have, you're going to help us plan. And I couldn't echo more what the senator said, because when we take my mother-in-law, we can't take her out of the building anymore. If we take her out of the building, it's a death sentence. It's going to be a death sentence. That's a hard thing to say. It's going to be a death sentence. All those help. Who have been there for many years. The fact is that, first of all, I appreciate the being added to the agenda. We were in the beginning stages of organizing the committee, because we are not going to accept the fact that you are going to close that building down without us having some input into how this process plays out. And I know you talk about planning, but you're talking about planning after the building is closed. I think there are other alternatives. Just to say to these people, the residents, and you said there's 6%, you know how many people want to come back? A question, do you take long-term patients now? No. That's why you don't have that. that's another one. And I know Spalding just built that beautiful facility, and I'm a patient there in town. So, this is all of the dollar. Let's cut down to that. It's all about well, we
This would be
disagree.
furthest from the truth.
We disagree. Now, this community has been subjected to a lot of things over the last several years. We had the St. Anthony School, which the city of Boston gave to the Archdiocese, and they in turn developed it into high-end condos. They did the same thing with the Christopher Columbus School. We gave, the city of Boston gave that piece of property to the Archdiocese, high-end condominiums. Now, listen, people understand what's going to happen to that building, but it's going to happen not easily, because we're going to be able to put together a committee, and I know the families that have parents there are going to be very upset, and they're trying to do something to stop the sale or the closing of that building. The bottom line is we have to take the position that that building is not going to be closed, and that we're going to keep it open, and we're going to work with partners to do it. That's the premise of it.
I'm Olivia Sameka, I've had relatives there. I have a few questions. I understand it's a done deal as far as partners is concerned, but what's stopping us to get someone else? From my understanding, Mayor White gave that to the North End Health Center for the seniors, not for you to sell and make money on it. Look, fundraise, we'll find somebody. We want our seniors here. We're in a unique group. We have feasts, we bring our saint there. These people won't make it somewhere else. Brighton, that could be New Hampshire to these people. There's no community. We can't stop you from closing, but we can certainly take the property back and find someone else that will run it. Because I know that it was written, given to the health center free for the seniors. So if it's going to be sold, what's it going to be for seniors? It has to be for seniors, that's for you. You didn't buy it, you got it free. So we expect it back free. You don't want to run it, step down, we'll find someone.
I think it was, if you'd like to respond to it. So, relative to the ownership.
Yes.
There was a point in time where there was a purchase from the then owners, the North End Community Health Committee, back to the city for the land. It was after the building was already there. The building was built by, not given by the city. The building was built based on, the borrowing of the North End Community Health Committee years ago. So it's subject to a land disposition agreement, and we'll work with the BRA and with you on whatever happens. As I said, we haven't thought about the
You care about our
property.
elderly,
Stand up,
it's not
Franny.
making money for you, why don't you put it out there for another facility to run it?
Let me answer. Francine Gannon, 74 Commercial Street. We met yesterday morning at the Buffalo
Nice to see you
Day Parade.
again.
Nice to see you again. And that's part of the issue, and I think that needs to be explored. We've got wonderful people here in the North End. As I said to you yesterday morning, the way partners went about this was terribly wrong, disgraceful, and an insult to the people here in the North End. Let me tell you, these people built that place. Let's go back to who owns the property. That's essential. I go back, I served on one of the very original boards. Where's Johnny Famara? I saw him here also. Also another original member. Carla Meadows' mother, original member. Norma Jean, who lives in the North End, who was a nurse for years, also part of it. And I thank Elaine Wilson above all, because it was her dream in the 70s to make a North End nursing home to care for the people here in the North End, because it's a neighborhood. People would go and visit their parents. They at one time used to take food into them. That's how everything went. But all I'm trying to say, let me give you a little background. In the 70s, when it was Elaine's dream, that's when everybody got together. It was the C2 parcel. You all remember that, whatever it was? C2 parcel, when, like myself and other members of the North End, there were parcels up for sale on Commercial Street, on Fulton Street. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
People in this building who were not veterans who lived there and who are still there. And that was the purpose of the C2 parcel, to maintain this area for the people who live in the area and are elderly. And there were
We want our
people
parcel
at that time with C2, that's why I said there were people, that it was supported by community people who one time, if you recall, there were plaques on that wall that people put
Yeah.
$25, $50, and $1,000 to raise money to build that unit. And that, those plaques are gone today. And I'm just trying to, we need to look at the deed, people. We need to explore the deed, Aaron, to see where and how that was transferred. That should never have been. And I'm gonna just say one thing as far as development is concerned. I can remember, I remember even the architect, and I don't want to use his name, but when we were looking to get that parcel for a nursing home development, there were developers who started on the other end of Commercial Street. There were developers that supposedly came from the waterfront section. So why should you put elderly or a nursing home at that site? It's too valuable a piece of property. And you know what? We fought to get that parcel there because we said at that time, why shouldn't our seniors enjoy the benefit of the waterfront and the future development of that waterfront? You kind of, I agree with Joe, by the way. I know Wingate. I've been there, Joe. He's right. And you, as you say, the place is deteriorating. Was that on purpose? Hello, that's the best thing in nursing home here in the North End. But you say the maintenance? I went in there myself because I had a cousin who just did rehab there. Yeah, it's not the same nursing home when he was there and all she's a dental because they kept it up to par. And if it wasn't a good nursing home, it would never have been approved because they do meet the standards of a nursing home. And you say accepting people, where are you, Candy? Candy Vardy is here. You know, her mother just recently passed away. She couldn't get into the North End nursing home. They went every day to Peabody. Do you understand that to see their mother? You know, I know her mother. I know that feeling. Her mother probably would be living longer if she was here in the North End. That's how I feel. The people went about it all wrong. You shouldn't give it up. I agree. It's got to come back to the people here in the North End.
George Mendoza from Fort Stillman Place. The other subject, guys, that we forget about, we're all here. We're not getting any younger.
That's right. Thank you.
This is another way to erode our community. We are an Italian American community. Our values keep our family close to us, okay? We have lost many of our family members at their nursing home there on Richmond Street. But where are we going to go? All right, where are we going to go? And how are we going to remain a community if every time we turn around, they take something away that makes us a community? We don't need more condominiums, we don't need more fancy buildings. We need to preserve the infrastructure that makes us a community. And keeping our elderly family members within walking distance is what suits us. We pay for all this property that's been taken away from us. The parish center, fancy condominiums, gated, so we can't get in there anymore. Columbus High School, place where many of our children graduated from, sold out to the highest beautiful condominiums. The Michelangelo School, the same thing. We have finally turned the tides, building a good public school. Why is it that we're taking care of one end of our people, our society, the young, and not taking care of the old, who made it all possible? Our parents, our uncles, our aunts, and us, as we get older, can continue to go there.
David, can I withdraw a question? You mentioned that the Wingate is it possible for Spalding to rent that property for 1 year, move move everyone to Brighton, fix up the North End rehab. My mother's been there 5 years, and every night I'm there. You guys, you take in rehab patients all the time, so why don't you stop on the rehab patients, because you have other facilities you can rehab, and you do one floor at a time.
That's right.
You said there's only 30 people in there. You close one floor at a time and you redo it. Why can't you do it? You did it at the Mass General, you close wings at a time, you rehab. But you can't do that. It's all cost effective. It's all about money, that's what it is. You stop the, how many rehabs?
Because the systems need to be replaced, it's not just a matter of renovating.
And how did you get to that? Yeah, how did you get to that?
Intentionally.
That's how.
I didn't see the world in 58 September. Echo something Francine said.
Right.
Apartments has been here 19 years. For the past 19 years, what has been done to that building? Apartments has let the building deteriorate to the point that now you have an excuse to displace our citizens. Listen, it's a dump. Well, why is it a dump? Nobody did anything to it. Took money in, nobody invested, nobody changed the system. At some point along the line, you could have moved the healthier patients to Spalding and Charlestown, or the 2 of the 3 places in Chelsea that found us. But no, you let it go into disrepair. Now that's your excuse to throw everybody out and say, oh, we'll send you to Brighton. Oh, you don't like Brighton, why don't you go to Chelsea? You don't like Chelsea, why don't you go to Everett? What's wrong with our neighborhood? Why wasn't this fixed over the last 19 years? Instead of now, 19 years later, you say it's a dump, we gotta sell it so we can place people elsewhere. For 19 years you had it. Nobody's done any work. My mother was in there for weeks. She actually checked herself out. I think the first person ever to escape the joke was. Seriously, it's been 19 years you've had it. Like Francine said,
Yes.
19 years, it's gone downhill. No bumps, no curves, no angles, downhill. Now that it's the bottom of the hill, in your opinion, you want to sell it, probably sell the cash, rehab. But what it is another dump, maybe bring it higher than a dump, and now you're going to displace our citizens, and it's Daniel's mother-in-law. What's that sentence? Nobody cares. It's all about money.
Answer the question.
Who owns the parking lot next to the nursing home? Who owns the land? Well, why can't we build, you can build a new place, and then they can just walk across and go in the new one, and then tear the other one down. Right.
We've invested millions, I can't give you the exact numbers tonight. Over the course of the time we've been there, we've made a lot of repairs, the kinds of things we're talking about that we haven't, been able to get to. It's not a matter of money, it's a matter of shutting down the whole place.
But wait, listen to me. You don't understand. I'm telling you, I was at Wingate in Brighton for 2 years. The air conditioner doesn't work well. Everything in the building, the elevators don't work well. I'm going to tell you again. The first floor floods when it rains, when it's a heavy downfall. Don't tell me about Wingate. You went there, probably looked at all that. This is night. Forget about it. There were days I couldn't get in to see my kid. The place was closed because the first floor was flooded. And you're telling me that that building is better than that? If you're going to ship the people from there to over there, how long is it going to take you to fix up that building? How long? Tell me how long. You must have some kind of an idea.
Between the process with the Department of Public Health and the improvement, we think it'll be about a year.
Well, you're going to gut the whole place up. You don't want to, see, look. That's the attitude. Don't care. It's all money.
I just want to ask one question at a time so we can all hear everyone.
We haven't sorted that out.
We haven't sorted it out. We're going to do this in the future. We don't have a budget on how much we're going to
We
renovate.
haven't planned it until we get to the Department of Public Health.
Spalding was kind of focusing more on getting them home and modern day medicine, would keep them in the house. I mean, you failed to mention wheelchair patients, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, this kind of stuff that unfortunately, can't keep them home. I mean, I love that my grandma's home. I love it. I love that about it. Okay? There's not that community, like everybody said. I mean, I know you get the feel for that. But, I mean, my other question now is, I look at you and we're all talking, do you want to see? That's my question, because, I mean, we've all been through these, we stand up there and go through the motion and you're supposed to voice it, but I mean, do you want to see? Because I understand that purchase, sale, it's property, there are things that could be done. And once again, like Aaron said, you know, and the senator said, you know, there was no conversation beforehand. It was, hey, this is what's done, that's it, you know what I mean? These elderly people, it's the backbone and all that. And unfortunately, you know, like someone else said, people that get old, they don't want to move out like that. And the nursing home is there, now, for them on that. You send them to Brighton, you open up another place, okay, so it's just like, hey, get old, get out. Basically what it's saying. So I mean, I don't hear any resolution to help with staying in and it's all about you just listening to us and it's all about Brighton. That's what I mean. Can we have, or can we start a dialogue on that? Because you say you want to start dialogue, so that would be the first part of the dialogue. What is an option of staying in the That's the dialogue right there. That should be the opening dialogue. And like I said, you stand there, I read your article, it was great. You know, you've got some points, but I just want to know, I don't want you to go through the motions, stand there. Just listen to us, I want to know the other thing. Because that should be the opening dialogue. Is there a way to stand it on? How can we stand it on? Because let me tell you, the ways do anything. There is. The ways do anything.
Address that, and then we can go on. I'd like to hear his answer before we begin the next question.
I'm listening to answer your question. The comments about the use of home care and people staying at home and outpatient that you're referring to, that's true. And it's not just our experience, but nationally there's fewer people that go into nursing homes to live for a long time like they used to years ago. But I do understand that there are people who do need to go and live in a nursing home for an extended period of time. I do understand that. Our position is that the opportunity to build and to improve the facility that we believe, I heard the comments, and I'm going to certainly be looking into these comments about flooding at the Wingate facility. Our building experts who have reviewed the facilities, you know, believe that we've got a much longer useful life in that other facility to serve more people over the longer haul.
Go ahead, Jerry.
So the answer is that you're going there. The short answer is no to that question.
There was a short answer to that, which was the open dialogue is not, what we can say is not, that's my question was, can we start with an open dialogue, but I guess the short answer, the short version is no. That's what I'm saying, right?
Saying we want to work to make the transition to
So we're going to let somebody else take over this facility. We bought it, we're going, we're going to sell it to them.
Another question here, yes.
Yeah, my name is Juliana. My only question to you now is you're presenting this as a done deal. So is this an exercise in futility? Like where, I mean, you're insulting our intelligence by the way that was done, it's disgraceful. Now, you're also embarrassing us. This is a done deal, is it not?
there's a Department of Public Health process that's going to have a lot of public opportunities. We need approval from the state. So
What about this deed? I just want to answer that, because I did read the article, and again, I would insist upon a terrific representatives that are here, and I refer primarily to our state legislatures, because the state put in new laws governing nursing homes that when they close, and they're circumventing the law because they claim they do not have to go to a public hearing because they are not closing the nursing home, they are transferring patients. And that's wrong. We should insist that there be a public hearing and I think we should have a public hearing so that, yes, this has made the news, but you know, Partners has suffered a great deal because its reputation isn't the Partners that I remember. You're a non-profit organization who should be servicing people, whether they be young or old. That's a service. And they may make a profit in some areas, as I'm sure you make a good profit over Spalding, because they really screen who goes in there. But I'm saying you're making profit elsewhere, so there's a loss over here. Let's make it better. You've got a community that wants to support you, and they will be there. But if something is wrong, they should be held to holding a public hearing. They're circumventing the law by saying a transfer. And we have to let it be known, not only to our reps and senators need help. We need to let other senators and reps and Bob DeLeo, who's a good, wonderful guy with a good heart, know what's going on here. And I'm sure Aaron will let him know. We have the representation. But I just said, if we've got people who sit here, even in our community, good lawyers, if we need to get together with a group of law firms, all we get, as they did in South Boston, legals from Harvard, who will come in. How do you think they won the Supreme Court with a Wacko Hurley? They call him Crazy Wacko Hurley. But he got a student at Harvard and won a Supreme Court with an 8-0 decision for people to march in that parade. This can be done here, ladies and gentlemen. And if Freddie Landoni were here today, this would be happening. I'm sorry.
Question to you, Aaron. The BRA owns the property adjacent to it.
Yes.
And there's been talk about what the BRA wants to do with that property. Okay? The BRA, are we part of the BRA? The BRA belongs to Boston, doesn't it?
I mean, the BRA has had conversations. I would refer to them in particular on that. But well, I don't know what the exact plan is for that parcel of land. They've been talking. I mean, they've been talking about developing that land for decades at this point in time.
No, I know, but what I'm trying to say here, a piece of land that is allocated to the BRA, who owns that piece of land?
The BRA.
The BRA outright owns land. So the BRA is a government agency that owns land now and does whatever they want with the land.
Well, I mean, they would have to go through a community process to do whatever they want to do with the land, certainly. But yes, they own the land.
Is there a way that we can do something like we did with the North Venice Street School, where we can wedge that the fact that we have an asset there, you know, that's owned by the Boston BRA, that maybe we can work in combination with another healthcare provider to preserve that outlet for Northland folks?
Listen, I'm open to any and all options, conversations, anything that can keep this the way it is, keep this a nursing home. I'm open and looking at any possible conversation. Anybody wants to give me an option to explore, me and my office are certainly happy to do that, without a doubt.
I also want to bring up a point here. How many meetings have we come to here, folks, where we are told what's going to happen, whether we like it or not. All right? It is become a bad habit of our city government, our state government, and of the partners that they choose to do business with, to come along and tell us after the fact. After the fact, we're taking this away from you. After the fact, we're doing this. After the fact, you're a pilot program. After the fact, this and that and the other thing. When are we going to get our say back to what happens in our community? Look around, guys. There is a representative from every family in the North End that's been here for a long time. All right? I'd like to know where is the other part of the community. Where are the developers? Where are the condominium owners?
Yeah, true.
Where are the waterfront people? Where is Nura today? Okay? Where are they? Okay, where are they? Where are they? Oh, we gotta come from Nura. Where are they? Because we have these conversations after the fact all the time. Either
I don't realize.
I'll just say that I've heard from lifelong residents of the North End, and I've heard from people that just moved in the last year. This issue crosses all lines, crosses all ages. It doesn't matter. This is the backbone of our neighborhood. These are our elderly. These are, again, our most vulnerable elderly. And from my office, from what I've heard, from walking the streets, from talking to people, this is not about old versus new, young versus old, newer versus the council, whatever. This is a neighborhood issue, and you're right. This is about protecting the neighborhood and protecting our interests and the people of this neighborhood. And I don't think that you're going to get one person. I mean, if we open this up to a bigger dialogue, I think you're going to get the greater neighborhood involved here as well, without a doubt. And I urge everyone to make sure that happens. You know what I mean? Because everyone has to talk to their neighbors, talk to their friends, talk to the people of this neighborhood, and make sure everyone knows what's going on.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
So really, what's our next step?
Right, what's the next step?
Mary Ann D'Amato, North Place, George Street. Partially answer your question. I attended a meeting a couple of months ago of the Mariners with Simon, an architect, and the Archdiocese of Boston, and they want to build assisted living for the city of Boston on that parcel of land. That's what it is.
Doesn't also answer that, if I may, I don't mean to interrupt you. You've been involved, you were at that meeting yet? And do you remember what they said at that meeting when they were trying in the Archdiocese to make assisted living? It would be a wonderful adjustment. And to get people who have been living maybe in assisted living, that the nursing home is right there. What a wonderful transition as they age to live in their neighborhood in assisted living, and then perhaps go, if need be, right across the street to the nursing home. You remember? That was part of the papers and selling and promoting it. So that nursing home has to stay, guys. It has to stay. And that should be our cry to everybody. The nursing home stays.
I have one question. I don't know if this should be directed to you or some of the public officials. My name is Jerry Esposito. I've lived here my whole life. Are you under the understanding that you own that building down there on Fulton Street?
Right. He is.
Oh, you do own it. And you have a bill of sale that you received from someone?
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
What?
Who did you get the title from? Who did you buy it from? You were never there in the beginning. This I remember. Who did you buy it from? If you don't have the answer, you can go back in time and meet us the next time and let us know the history of who owns that property. That property belongs to the city of Boston. That property was given to the people of the North End, the seniors to live there. That was developed by whoever the city decided would develop it. I want to know how you bought it and who you bought it from. You must have a bill of sale somewhere. There has to be a record how you ended up with the property. It's not yours. You can move out, but it's not yours to do it what you want to do. That remains where it stays. When the next time you come back, bring the bill of sale. I want to know the history of the sale of that property and what you paid for it. You guys got this public record. Jerry, you can't answer them, Jerry. What, he's going to come back and answer.
Sir, say this transition happens. What is the plan for that building?
Don't have a plan.
Development. It says in the paper to develop. What do you think it's going to happen? It's going to make a nursery out of it? Come back.
We haven't focused on the moment news started to break. I mean, we're getting calls. We're just telling people we don't want to talk to anybody. We're not because we're just not in a position. We got to focus on what we need to do, for the residents, our staff, and the possibility. Although I'm listening to this discussion about flooding with rain, but this possibility of acquiring the other place. So
is there an option for these people to stay, or they can't stay?
If we acquire the other place,
No, can they stay in
why when we give permission to continue the service.
So they can have somebody else take it over.
Okay, and we had someone here.
Hi, my name is Jean Brady, fairly new resident, but very concerned about this. I have a question, who is the mayor's representative here? So, my question for you is, why can't the mayor, what's the mayor's opinion on this, and why can't he tell us who owns the property? Because that seems to be a big question here. It's like,
The mayor is very concerned about this, number one, I can tell you that because he sent me to this meeting tonight. The VRA has an LDA, which is a land disposition agreement on the parcel, so if Partners does leave, there will have to be community process involved in what goes in there next. That's what the VRA told me today, and that's so far I know. I do not work for the VRA, so I cannot speak on behalf of them, but the way they related to me is that anything that would have to go into this building, because there's a land disposition agreement, would have to go through significant community process, and in that LDA, it does state that it's used for a nursing home or for another, so he kind of
Yeah, but he could sell it.
Well, okay, I think we have a few questions on Denise Louie. I think some of you raise your hands now.
I just have a quick question. I think part of this meeting was, because you realize you had a PR disaster on your hands and the way this has been handled. We had our local blog and our local newspapers break the story before sometimes even the families knew about this. I mean, I have friends, I work with some of my best friends' grandparents are there, and luckily I don't have any relatives there. But as you're talking about, you're closing this, and it looks like you have made up your mind, and we're going to try our best to stop that. But what can you detail right now, and not at a later meeting, what is the process to do that? Because I understand you're not closing it, you're merging it with Brighton. What is the Department of Public Health regulations that you mentioned that you have to go through? Is it a determination of need, or is it closing? What is the next steps there that we could address with our legislative delegation?
As has been noted, there's new rules, the interpretation of which we really don't know for sure how the Department of Public Health will interpret them. I think, it's fair to say there's going to be a public process. Whether it's technically viewed as a transfer or a closing, I don't know what the Department of Public Health.
Is there a filing that you
We have not filed anything. We haven't filed anything with the Department of Public Health.
But that's the first place you have to file.
We have to file. We would not plan to file anything until after we own something else. And at that point in time, we would file, for the improvements we need to make to the other facility, as well as the transfer of a license. And if it's a closing of a facility here and in West Roxbury, then we will go through the process that's directed by the Department of Public Health.
So is that linked to the opening of Brighton, that these two facilities will close or merge, whatever you want to describe it as? Or is it a separate close, you have to file a closure then an opening process? Are they linked?
They're on parallel paths, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, we have about 10 more minutes. I know I said.
Alyssa Tizano. My grandmother's a resident there for the last 8 years, my mother and father up front. You keep noting, and in the Boston Business Journal article as well, you mentioned your concern was the patients, the families, your staff, discussing it with them first, but yet my mother got a phone call last Thursday after a week ago, Monday, posted on Facebook. No one else, as far as I know, most of my followers on Facebook weren't aware of it. I don't want to toot my own horn, but that night, Boston Herald came down. Tuesday, there was an article in the Herald. I don't want to say because of my status, about what happened, but when were you going to contact anyone? My grandmother's been there 8 years. Sue called her Thursday.
As I said, we didn't anticipate the press coverage when it occurred. We were going to contact people.
When?
She's not the press, she's the patient.
That's my grandmother.
When were you going to contact them since you were going past payment in July?
Right, exactly. We'll just done
He said
here.
it's so much better than you.
We started reaching out.
I'm sorry, one second.
Because of the newspaper article. No, we were gonna do that anyhow.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
We celebrated a couple of days.
Who's he?
One second, sir. I don't want to, sir, one second. I don't want to interrupt the.
Can I just finish? We're on the same team, brother. I love you. But my point is, it's insulting to us. You know, you walk into a line and tonight, we're not animals, but we could become very, very, very angry. Okay? And, you know, you don't know my grandmother, you don't know Agnes's mother, but have you walked through those halls? You see those people every day? My mother's there 5 days a week, making sure someone's feeding my grandmother.
You're right.
She passes away before the actually happens. They're gonna kill her. They're gonna kill her. And she has Alzheimer's. And she doesn't know, but you know what? You look in her eyes and she's there. That's my grandmother, 93 years old. You have no idea. I don't want to go to Brighton. I don't want to go to fucking Everett. I don't want to go to Chelsea. I used to walk her in a wheelchair around the whole day. Aurora looked beautiful. You didn't know what the hell they were, but you know what? She had a smile on her face. People recognized her. I walked her everywhere in that wheelchair. She can't believe the floor she's on now because she gets disoriented. Have you done research on that? Uprooting elderly people? The effect it's going to have on them? I know there's only 30 of them. But the people on wait list because you're not taking them anymore. Just because they're not living down here. No one lives here anymore. Half of us are all gone. Because they can't afford to live here because they keep taking shit from us. Excuse my French, but Pat's going to kill me for swearing. I don't care. That's my grandmother. That's my grandmother. She doesn't know where she is. She actually knows that she has to get her diaper, pull-up changed. She has to wipe her ass. People we don't even know have to touch my grandmother. She doesn't like it. My mother has to be there and stroke her hand and make sure she's comfortable. Okay? You have no idea what you're going to do to these people. You have no idea. And I don't give a shit about Brighton. I don't want a voucher. I can drive you myself. I don't want your voucher. Stick up your ass. Okay? I don't want Uber. I don't want a Charlie ticket. I don't give a shit. That's not convenient. We walk here. People walk by waving them in the window. Sunday we had a procession, St. Anthony's. You know how many elderly people were in that window? They look forward to these things. It's their life. This is all they know. You're going to have some strangers in the Boston Business Journal. There's less jobs here. You're not laying anyone off. That's all you worry about was the jobs in the whole article. How about the people? How about these patients? My grandma wants to go home. Her home is her fourth floor unit in the nursing home. That's her home. That's her home. All right? And you know what? I might not be able to bring my mother, take care of my mother when I'm old. I don't know if I'm going to have the funds or the space. I don't know what kind of help she's going to need. I mean, I love her, but you know what? She might need to stay there. I would, like Louis said, I would love my grandmother to live home. I would love her to be cooking dinner for us every night. I would love her to recognize me when I walk in the room. I have to remind her every day who I am when I go there. Just think of these things. This isn't just about business, not about, I know. You're a private company, whatever you are, you're going to make your money. But you know, you're affecting a lot of lives here, a lot of lives. And it's not just the patients, it's everyone. My mother leaves there, calls me every day crying. Whether she's angry at my grandmother, she's pissing her off, because my grandmother always abuses her and attacks her. That's what it is. That's her mother. That's her mother.
We'll start. I know we've had a hand raised here for quite a while, this gentleman, but
I was a precinct captain when I turned this property over to the North End Community.
Louder.
All right? That's when I turned it over from Kevin White. Okay? I'm looking at the deed, and the deed and the BRA has a plan. They call it the plan. The plan is effective for 40 years. The plan was issued in 1962. So you add 40 years, right? Then it was 52 years now we're in this play. The plan is dissolved. All right? That means whenever the North End Community Health Center, whatever the group was, turned it over to partners or their other partners, I haven't seen a deed or a transfer yet. All I have is the original plan. That means
unless the state now steps in and makes them holding to the law as it affects nursing home. They still have to go through state approval and regs.
As far as nursing homes go, but not as far as.
I understand, but that's an option, that's what you have there. We don't know what agreement was made.
I don't know.
And let me tell you something, as you well know, I went through hell and high water at City Hall. There is actually no plans. There is not even a survey or a plot plan for all of our units that went through C2 parcel. Honest to goodness, there's nothing there. The city needs a city planner or a surveyor to get things done. There's nothing.
I just want to let a couple of people that haven't had a chance to speak.
There's no
I
plan.
just want to let them all, read it all you want. Unless you do something, you want to form a group to do something.
We need a prize. Well, how do we better sign up as you leave tonight?
Now, the question is, the only question I have is, are they willing to turn it over to you people?
Well, we're gonna fight for it.
But understand one thing, you turn it over to you, all right? You probably can't operate it the way it is.
We'll do a better job.
Stop the thing.
We'll upgrade it and we won't turn away our residents. My aunt couldn't get in. She's in Chelsea eating kosher food at the Italian.
Listen
She
to
can't
me,
eat
listen to
Italian.
me, all right? Because I went through this. When you take over a piece of property and you make any repairs in it, you have to bring it up to code.
That's right.
And that's where
Right.
it's stuck. And you're gonna be stuck. So make a decision
Get
what you want to do.
volunteers.
They're gonna have to bring Brighton up to code.
Okay.
My name is John Perfeo, I was born and brought up in
There's a place,
My brother, I visit her every day, nursing home. My brother Luciano lives on Charter Street, he visits her, walks down every day to visit my mother. This is my mother. She reached 99 Friday.
That's right.
I take her in a wheelchair to different sites, the waterfront, Hanover Street, Raids. She's still capable of going there. I don't think for very long after taking her out this summer. How long is it? I'm concerned about these papers that are going to be signed in July. This is June. And I don't know what's going on, but it has to be approved by the state. Well, who is not going to approve this with the state? What people in the state are going to not approve this? Because according to this article that I read in the NorthEndWaterfront.com this morning, it seemed like your president was more concerned in placing workers in places rather than patients, the way I read this article. It also mentioned that you trust that this will be approved by the state. Well, all I can say is, whatever the state is, Massachusetts, I hope they don't approve it. I mean, what's going on? Someone talk to the governor, not the mayor. The governor and the mayor. You know, I've been calling the mayor's office every day. I've been calling, he's been very helpful to me. Okay, I see him talk. This man comes and says he wanted harmony with our neighborhood, but yet it took the newspaper to get him down here to talk, or else we would have never even known about this. This is a disgrace. It's more than a disgrace. It's a capital mortal sin. I was brought up a Catholic. You know what a mortal sin is? You know what partners should be? Let me tell you what partners says on there. I looked at their website, and this is what it says when you look at their link. It says, Partners Healthcare is a non-profit healthcare system that is committed to the patient's care, research, teaching, and service to the community, locally and globally. Well, this is locally, and what is Partners doing? They're doing the absolute opposite. Where do you stand?
David, based on what you've heard tonight, you see anything there, small, I know you transition the process.
but based on what you've heard tonight, do you see any scenario Spalding would be open to keeping the patients where they are? Maybe it's a rehab, maybe it's... Do you see any scenario? From the president of Spalding, I'd like to hear from you, a yes or no, any scenario at all that you think these patients can stay?
I have to give that a lot more thought.
Oh, come on.
No, seriously.
We need to let us go after July?
Well, we haven't got the radius.
I mean, I am,
Stay to one side.
there's not anything I'm really going to be able to say that I think, you know, would in any way satisfy the concerns that have been used. You know, I know you kind of think of me here, a guy in a suit, heartless partners. I think it's all about the money. Hey, you know, I started a social work. You know, my father was in nursing. His name was Pasquale Storch. We were the last Italian family to move out of our neighborhood.
Well, you're looking at the rest of them.
So, I feel pain for sure, and contrary to what you might think, it's not that I'm totally insensitive. And I think that, you know, as for the implication of moving somebody who's elderly and frail, we know we're going to have to approach that with great care.
No, you don't know. Don't go there.
Our ultimate interest here is trying to do the best we can to take care of the current residents and future people who would need care. Well, our conclusion is we can't do it in this. We're going to have to shut down.
Congratulations on your new building in Somerville, the size of a North End block.
Yeah, that's another one.
Second, Usher. Go ahead. One from you and then from Marie, please.
Louder, please.
And my mother was in Brighton when it was at its best. Getting to Brighton is a nightmare. I went there every single day. I was still burnt out. When I wasn't there, I paid somebody to stay with my mother because it is not, you need your family there. I don't care how good the place is, they're on overload, you don't have enough nurses, you need your family, they love your family. The nurses love your family, and they shouldn't have to have the responsibility of being it's very difficult to get there. You have to take the bus, or you have to start off with the train, and then I don't have a car. A lot of people may not have a car. I used to take the train and the bus every single day. And work, it's just not easy. I know you said your father is in there somewhere, but you need your family though. You need your family. I was reading something about Wingate because I was very curious about why they closed. I wasn't sure. But they closed within a very short span of 3 months because that all wasn't in yet. Where they could do that. I'm not exactly sure what that law is. Someone was talking about it, but there's a law that requires the nursing home to have a public meeting with people in the neighborhood prior to doing what Wingate did. Hopefully we have that chance. I think they closed it at the end of last year, but I think it was like in a 3-month time frame. I know when my mother used to go back and forth to the Mass General just for care. But when she came back from that, she didn't know where she was. She didn't know where she was when she was in the nursing home. Well, you have to be moved, and then another person's taking care of you. It takes months to know the care of an individual. And then when you're moving into another facility, you're going all over and leave what the needs are. I just have to voice that. It wasn't calling her. She would go back and forth in ambulances because of these transfers. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
First of all, I don't want to be I
my little window, this guy can have a little bit of heart. You call another meeting, I'm hoping it will be here, sitting beside the mayor and the governor, because we're not closing the nursing home. I will pick it and do everything in our power to keep our out.
And we want to.
We all will.
We're a little bit over, we're already over time, but, I would
I just
ask
want to
that.
know what's the title. We never heard that.
He's the president of Spalding.
President of Spalding. He should be a politician.
Who's taking names, John? Anyone?
He
Marie?
does a really good job of it.
Before we go, I'd just like to say that we all came out tonight for a purpose, and I don't want that purpose to leave the door once this meeting is finished.